Interleukin 2, also called IL-2, is a cytokine produced by T cells. IL-2 is extremely important because it amplifies the size of the immune response by stimulating all lymphocytes. In this video, I'll cover everything you need to know about IL-2 so you'll be ready for test day. Aw man, it's another episode of school bullying. Looks like someone's shoes were thrown into that tree. Notice how these shoes are hanging by their laces, which are tied together. Some might even say that they are interlocking shoes, which coincidentally helps me remember interleukin 2. Get it? Interlocking sounds like interleukin, and shoe rhymes with 2, and there are 2 of them. It's the IL-2 interlocking shoes. IL-2 is an important cytokine, or cell signaling molecule in the immune system. Now that we've set the anchor, let's talk about where IL-2 comes from. See the teacher trying to get the shoes down from the tree? Yeah, this teacher is volunteering as a helper at recess. In other words, she is the helper teacher, or helper for short. And this helper should remind you of helper T cells. You know, a helper for helper T cells, right? We're talking about helpers here since IL-2 is primarily produced by helper T cells. In fact, IL-2 is the first cytokine produced by helper T cells after they are activated by an antigen. Recall that helper T cells help coordinate an immune response against a threat. Let's talk about why secreting IL-2 would help them do this. Specifically, notice how this helper is taking the shoes down from the tree. You got it, she's using a tomahawk axe to literally cut the branch down. By the way, this raised tomahawk is our symbol for stimulation of T cells. Since tomahawk is our recurring symbol for T cells, raising a tomahawk represents stimulation or increased T cells. Get it? And this is just how IL-2 works, by stimulating all T cells. All T cells have IL-2 receptors, and IL-2 signaling induces differentiation and proliferation of all T cell lineages, including helper, killer, and even regulatory T cell types. Now, remember how I said that IL-2 is one of the first cytokines produced by activated helper T cells? It should be obvious that stimulating other T cells helps to rally an immune response, especially since other helper T cells make even more IL-2. This creates a positive feedback loop, effectively amplifying the immune response. In the big picture, this amplification is crucial if you think about what the immune system does. We need a huge immune response to every threat to overwhelm every infection. Because if a single infection wins just once, we're dead meat, right? As an example, impaired IL-2 signaling is one of the causes of SCID, or severe combined immunodeficiency. People with SCID have failed immune responses, resulting in overwhelming infections. So next time you fall sick, then get better, thank IL-2 for making it possible. Alright, I think we've found the bully behind all of this. See that thug-like kid with the nuke on his t-shirt? Of course, a bully would have a nuke on his shirt. He's pretty aggressive at baseline. Anyway, this nuke is here to help you think of NK cells. Get it? Because nuke literally has the letters NK in it. And we're talking about NK cells here because IL-2 stimulates NK, or natural killer cells, as well as T cells. In fact, IL-2 actually stimulates all lymphocytes, including T cells, NK cells, as well as B cells. NK cells are important in the immune response against viral infections and cancer. So IL-2 signaling protects us against viral infections and cancer. Clinically, the role of IL-2 and NK cells against cancer is so important that IL-2 analogs are even approved to treat metastatic melanoma and renal cell carcinoma. For extra points, the IL-2 analog we're talking about is aldesleukin, and the way it works is by stimulating NK cells. Finally, notice the kid in the cowl neck sweater. Looks like he was the victim of bullying. And he probably was bullied because he looked so preppy in his cowl neck sweater. By the way, the cowl neck helps me remember calcineurin, a protein important in IL-2 signaling. Get it? Cowl neck for calcineurin? The production of IL-2 by T cells requires calcineurin, which plays a role in the transcription of IL-2. Calcineurin's role in the production of IL-2 is so important that it is a drug target of immunosuppressants, drugs like cyclosporine and tacrolimus. We have dedicated scenes on these drugs, but you should know that these drugs suppress the immune response in autoimmune diseases or transplant patients. These drugs work by blocking calcineurin and therefore IL-2 production, which ultimately prevents your body from launching an effective immune response. All right, recess is over. Let's quickly recap what we've learned and get back to the classroom. Interleukin-2, or IL-2, is a cytokine produced mainly by helper T cells. IL-2 helps amplify the size of the immune response by stimulating all T cells and other lymphocytes, including NK cells and B cells. Due to its stimulation of NK cells, IL-2 signaling has anti-tumor effects, which are harnessed by IL-2 analogs like aldesleukin. IL-2 production is dependent on calcineurin, which is targeted by the immunosuppressive drugs cyclosporine and tacrolimus. And now you're a master of IL-2. Feels good, huh? I'll see you in the next one.